Good morning, everybody. I am Radharani Tripathi, Saraswati SSVM Mandir Dungaripalli. Welcome to English Prose, the Priceless Gift, second part. Now, we will read about conversation between the writers and Mrs. Vithi. Now, we will read what kind of country is India, sir? Asked Mrs. Vithi as she resumed her cooking. That means Mrs. Vithi asked the writer what kind of country is India, sir? The Mrs. Vithi asked. She resumed her cooking. Resumed means restart. That means Mrs. Vithi continued his work. In the meantime, he asked the writer, what kind of country is India, sir? Then replied, writer, a beautiful country, safe to live in. Aren't there too many snakes and tigers? Don't they kill people? This quotation is Mrs. Vithi. Mrs. Vithi asked the writer, safe to live in. Then, this type of questions has often been asked. Mrs. Vithi, this type of questions AN asked to the writer. Don't believe that snakes and tiger are killed by the people if they come too close. Don't believe. The writer said to the Mrs. Vithi, don't believe if the snakes and tigers will come to the people. Then Mrs. Vithi asked the writer, my son is in the Punjab. He is a soldier. What kind of place is the Punjab? Mrs. Vithi asked the writer. Because her son is soldier in the Punjab. Because long times she had not got any letter from her son. So she worried. Then the writer replied, the Punjab is a fine place. The writer said to Mrs. Vithi, the Punjab is fine place. That means very good place, beautiful place. It is a very healthy place to live in. Another said also, it is a very healthy place to live in. I am glad to hear it. Mrs. Vithi said. The contraction form রয়েছে A is here height, so we utter arm. Arm, glad to hear it. It is the Mrs. Sweety's quotation. Her baking was finished. Her baking. That means Mrs. Bethy's baking was finished. That means finished, completed. Maggie, she said. Maggie, she said, take Mr. Gupta upstairs. Mrs. Bethy said, my dear daughter Maggie, take in upstairs to the Mr. Gupta. I'll wash my hands and bring tea. I'll. It is a contraction form. I'll wash. That means I here height SHA. It is written form I shall. So, Mrs. Bethy, I'll wash my hands and bring tea. That means, Mrs. Bethy, welcome to Mr. Gupta. So, as a guest, she wanting to take tea to the Mrs. Gupta. As we drank tea, I talked about India. As we drank, here drank is past tense. Drink, drank, drunk. Past tense of drink. So, we means Maggie, the writers, and Mrs. Sweetie. So, here written that as we drank tea, I talked about India. I talked. Here I means the writer. Writer talked about India. Mrs. Sweetie showed me a photograph of her son. Then Mrs. Bethy bring a picture. Which picture is her son's photo. Her son's picture. She showed to Mrs. Gupta. It had been kept very neatly in an envelope by the mother. It had been kept very neatly. That means it had been means the letter is the picture. Her son's pictures had been kept very neatly in an envelope. By the mother. That means Mrs. Bethy kept. His name was Frankie. That means Mrs. Bethy's son's name was Frankie, which is Maggie's brother. Then next page. Maggie said Mrs. Bethy. Maggie said Mrs. Bethy, so Mr. Gupta, the ring which your brother sent you. Which your brother sent you. That means Mrs. Bethy ordered to Maggie, my dear daughter, you show the ring which is sent by your brother Frankie. Then she brought it and asked. She brought. Here she means Maggie. Brought, bring, brought. Past tense of bring. Maggie brought. It refers to ring. It and asked, can you see the past and future in it? Can you see the past and future in it? I took it and examined it. I took it and examined it. Then Mrs. Swethi asked the writer, can you see past and future in this ring? I took it and examined it. I took. That means Mrs. Swethi said, I took it, the ring, for examine. Then, when Frankie sent the ring, Mrs. Swethi said, he wrote that if you concentrate on a distant person as you gaze into it, that means Mrs. Swethi said to the writer that my son wrote me that if anybody concentrate means cautiously see in this ring, so he will know the distance persons. As you gaze into it, gaze means constantly. If you examine, constantly see into this ring, so he or she quietly know about the distance persons. You will be able to see him. And what is he doing? So, according to her son's writing, Mrs. Swethi said to Gupta, you will able to see that what he is doing. What he is doing means what her son is doing in the distance place. We have not had any news from Frankie for a long time. We have not had any news from Frankie for a long time. That means long time he had no any letters from the Frankie. But we have not been able to see anything. Mrs. Vithi said that, but we have not been able to see anything. Anything means we cannot know about my son through this ring. Why don't you try? You are an Indian. You may be able to do it. So, Mrs. Vithi believed that the Mr. Gupta was an Indian. So he can able to do it. I did not have the heart to tell the mother and daughter that the ring was nothing much. The writer thought that I did not have the heart to tell the mother. That means he cannot find in the ring. So he had no any words to the mother and the daughter. That means the ring was nothing much. Not a miraculous thing from a distant land. Not a miraculous thing. Miraculous means astonished thing. So, or strange. Not a, which is miraculous means unbelievable, surprising, or amazing. So, not an amazing thing from a distant land. How could I shatter their dream? The Mr. Gupta thought that how could I shatter their dream? Shatter means destroy or waste. Because they, Mrs. Vethi and her daughter Maggie. How we destroy their dream, how we harass to them. So he realized, Mr. Gupta, in this conversation with each other, Mr. Gupta at last he had no words to give Mrs. Vethi and her daughter. Mr. Gupta also harassed. That means the ring was nothing much. That is not, it has no any amazing things, which is blind belief. Thank you. Dear students, you make questions from this second part. Different types of questions and write answer. Thank you.